I feel like at some point he's gonna call me a clown. That's his like go-to.
I'll be like, that's me.
It's different levels. You know what I mean? It's definitely different levels when you come.
Jake Paul may have built his career on confidence and controversy, but the latest training clips of Gervonta "Tank" Davis have left even him uneasy. Viral footage shows a noticeably bulked-up Davis, stronger, more muscular, and looking every bit like a natural welterweight. Fans quickly began to speculate that Paul may have underestimated the lightweight champion's transformation. Known for his explosive power and precision, Tank now appears more imposing than ever, sending a clear message. He's not coming for the spectacle, he's coming to dominate. Sources close to Paul suggest that the YouTuber-turned-boxer is feeling the pressure, realizing that this version of Davis might be far more dangerous than anyone anticipated.
Work this out.
As the November 14th showdown approaches, fans and analysts alike are stunned by Davis's physical evolution. The 5'5" lightweight, famous for his compact frame and knockout power, has packed on serious muscle, appearing sharper, faster, and more dangerous than ever. During their heated face-off in Miami, where Davis shoved Paul on stage, the visual contrast between Tank's new build and Paul's cruiserweight physique only intensified the tension. With Davis now looking like a compact powerhouse, many are wondering if Paul's trademark confidence is beginning to crack under the weight of a new kind of threat, one that blends speed, skill, and raw intimidation. Davis has always been respected for his balance of speed, precision, and punching power, but this latest transformation adds a new layer of menace. Recent footage from his training camp shows broader shoulders, a denser frame, and a carved midsection, all while retaining his trademark agility. This isn't a vanity project. It's a calculated evolution. Every added pound of muscle seems engineered for control, explosiveness, and endurance. Gervonta Davis isn't just bulking up, he's upgrading for domination.
Right? Who's not a professional fighter. What happens? What happened? That's what would sell it. I know what the size difference is what creates the problem. The optics, the look, the reality. I mean, you got one guy who's fights at 135 pounds, and you got another guy who fights at 200. I mean, just that alone, yeah. But you also, and I'm not saying I want this or I like this when I heard it. No, I didn't like it, to be honest, for the optics and everything else I just said. But you do have one guy who, yeah, he's smaller, but he's a top fighter, he can punch. And he's fighting a guy who's not a top pro fighter, who's bigger. What if he hits him on the chin?
The UFC's bantamweight champion recently spoke candidly about the matchup. insisting that Davis is levels above Jake Paul in both skill and fight IQ. He acknowledged Paul's natural size and strength, but dismissed them as insignificant against a fighter with Davis's pedigree. The champion also criticized the commission's decision to classify the fight as an exhibition, arguing that it undermines competition and shields Paul from a legitimate loss. His verdict was clear. If this were a real fight, Davis ends it early.
What do you think of him and Tank?
I enjoy these fucking stupid spectacles. I enjoy it. I'm excited for it. The controversy, the press conference, the weigh-ins. Imagine those two stand next to each other. Yeah. Dude, Jake is a big motherfucker. It's basically like you two standing next to each other. Like if you guys stood up, it looks like that. Steiny's a little bit taller than Gervonta.
But I'm a feisty bro. It's not about the size of the dog, it's about the size of the what?
Despite the excitement, many within the boxing community view the fight less as a sporting contest and more as a crossover spectacle. The unusual pairing has reignited debates over fairness, safety, and the sanctity of boxing's weight divisions. Traditionalists argue that such matchups, while lucrative, blur the lines between competitive boxing and entertainment, threatening the credibility of the sport itself.
Tank is not the guy that knows how to sell a fight. Tank cannot sell a fight in his own division. You have the Paul brothers and they come over to boxing. Their idea from day one is we don't have the skills or the experience. What we're gonna do is we'll take on the absolute best guys, but they're gonna spot us some pound. Hank has one job to do, that it doesn't make any difference, that boxing is a real sport. My skills versus your skill, of which I am an abundance of and of which you have none of. Hank is telling anybody that will listen that there's a size problem. My skills and my experience in boxing, I do not have to wonder who's in the bar tonight. Any bar I go to, I rule the bar. No, it turns out that you don't. Just need some big guy to corner you. Apparently, boxing has never stood its ground. Boxing has never been able to explain why Floyd needed a half hour to get rid of a guy who's never boxed before. Hank Davis has already began this. When you choose a dum-dum, don't be surprised when he goes out and acts like a dum-dum.
Experts have long criticized Jake Paul's matchmaking choices, calling them strategically safe and theatrically driven. Rather than testing himself against opponents aligned by weight or style, Paul's bouts often prioritize attention and profit over legitimacy. These fights may be entertaining spectacles, but to purists, they remain far from serious boxing contests.
Paul won the fight, but yeah, that was that. This time, Jake Paul is to take on Tank Davis. Tank Davis, he was recently in the news for being arrested for a domestic violence incident involving one of his kids' mother. He was alleged to have slapped her about the place. The charges were later dropped, to be fair to him. But yeah, that was when he was last in the news. What is interesting is just a couple of months ago, Tank Davis was saying openly that he'd lost his passion for boxing and that he wanted time away from the sport. There was speculation that he might even retire as he was experiencing extreme mental fatigue from boxing, depression, and there were mental health concerns over him. However, I guess the opportunity to earn a truck full of money, fighting a completely worthless exhibition fight against Jake Paul, was enough to make him change his mind about boxing. Funny that, isn't it? But you know what? I'm not even going to waste your time or mine critiquing this utter nonsense. Suffice to say that this so-called fight we're talking about is an exhibition, and it pits Jake Paul, who is a cruiserweight, by the way, weighs in excess of 200 pounds, and Tank Davis, who is, he was the WBA lightweight champion, who weighs in at about 135 pounds when he fights. So that's a disparity of some 65 pounds. In old money, that's about 4.5 stone. There's also a significant difference in height. Jake Paul is roughly, 6'1", 2. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" at best.
At the weigh-in, Jake Paul tipped the scales at 199.5 pounds, a full cruiserweight, while Gervonta Davis last competed at 133.5 in the lightweight division. That staggering gap initially led the Georgia State Athletic Commission to reject the bout due to safety concerns, forcing organizers to move the fight to Miami. Though capped at a 195-pound exhibition limit, Davis's added muscle has strategically narrowed the difference. Still, Paul retains a significant size advantage, making the fight a rare clash of size versus skill. one of the most unconventional matchups in recent boxing history.
Those little teeny weeny dudes. So that's going to be very fun and interesting to watch how that goes down. Now, on the other side, you know what Jake Paul's going to do. He don't have no consciousness. He doesn't have a conscience about what he's trying to do. He's going to go in there try to hurt a 60-year-old Mike Tyson. He don't care. He wanted to Nate. He's way bigger than Nate Jones when he fought Nate Jones. You think he didn't care about hitting Nate Jones upside the head? He's definitely going to be looking to try to get as much as he can get off on Gervonta Davis, and I see him trying to run up on him, trying to maul him, trying to grab him, trying to club him, trying to do all kind of craziness, man. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting thing to watch. Now, let me tell you what I really hope, and I haven't seen for this particular card, but I know that I know it's going to be good, which is the undercard. The undercard for the Canelo Alvarez fight and Terrence Crawford fight is absolutely horrendous. There's nothing on the thing that would make you want to watch to tune into that thing 2 seconds before the fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford takes place. There's nothing on that card. So this fight for Gervonta or this exhibition for Gervonta and Jake Paul is probably going to have a lot of MVP fighters on there.
Ryan Garcia compared the event to past controversial exhibitions, like Mike Tyson's late career appearances that fans never truly demanded. He admitted that the public isn't asking for Davis versus Paul either, but that financial incentives often override public sentiment. Garcia emphasized the clear size disparity, calling the fight unfair from the start. Yet he acknowledged that curiosity and hype will still drive fans to watch. This fight, he said, isn't about who's better. It's about who's bolder.
Bro, that's a fucking disgrace of a fight.
Yeah.
You know it. Just like the Mike Tyson low-key was a disgrace, but we accepted it. But
yeah,
he was 60 years old. I mean,
right.
The casuals don't see the weight difference. They see Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis.
Yeah.
And if Gervonta Davis doesn't fuck up Jake Paul, they're going to think Jake Paul is some pound-for-pound champion type of fighter.
Yeah.
Gervonta Davis, he's actually really small. Like, when I fought him, he's small.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a very unfair fight.
Former world champion Carl Froch didn't mince words, calling the situation an absolute joke. Froch revealed that negotiations for a Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua bout were reportedly 99% complete before Paul suddenly pivoted to Davis, a fighter nearly half his size. To Froch, this was proof that Paul prioritizes shock value over real competition. Going from Joshua to Davis, he said, shows exactly what Jake's game is. Headlines, not history.
Gervonta Davis is now fighting Jake Paul. So Jake Paul was supposed to be fighting AJ. Eddie Hearn announced 99% done, which we've just spoke about. What next for AJ? Potentially Jake Paul. But it now looks like that Jake Paul is fighting one of Anthony Joshua's legs. He's fighting Gervonta Davis, somebody who's a quarter of his size. I don't even know what's going on. Has Eddie Hearn been played? Let me know what you think, but the AJ fight with Jake Paul's finished. Gervonta Davis, fake Paul, November. I don't know what's going on in the world of boxing. This is an absolute joke. What next for AJ? We'll get into this, and there's so many questions I want to get into in the next episode, but hope you enjoyed this one. And yeah, just thought I'd give you a quick update because the news has just come in, and I'm just trying to relax and play a bit of golf, and I can't. I've got to get it off my chest. I'm going to add it to this video. Hope you enjoy it. Don't forget, if you haven't already, hit like, share, and subscribe for the best channel in the business, Froch on Fighting, and we'll see you very soon.